127 million acres, that was the number. A silent ledger of Texas farmland, recorded, repeated, and never questioned again. But something in that figure comes apart, and it's not drought, and it's not markets. Over 800 acres a day, vanishing from the count for a reason no one in that original tour ever thought to name. The United States Department of Agriculture and the Texas Farm Bureau record the official ledger in 5-year intervals. In the census year of 2017, Texas counted 127,036,184 acres of land in farms. By 2022, that total fell to 125,417,325 acres. That is a net loss of 1,618,859 acres, averaging roughly 887 acres every single day. Nationally, the agricultural footprint shrank from 900 million acres to 880 million, while the total farm count dropped 7% to slightly more than 1.9 million. The census defines this land category as any cropland, pasture, grazing land, or woodland associated with an operation capable of producing at least $1,000 in agricultural products. Yet many of these vanishing acres have not left production, but have simply shifted between ownership columns as farms consolidate and lease agreements change. The ledger asserts that nearly all Texas operations are family farms, a designation that offers a comforting picture of self-reliance. The state still ranks first nationally, home to more than 402,000 individual producers working across 230,662 farms, a total that fell from 248,416 5 years earlier. These operations average 544 acres, together generating more than $32 billion in agricultural sales. But these large numbers mask a quiet, ongoing shift in who actually supports the land. Family ownership does not automatically mean that the soil provides the household with its primary source of income. Today, 62% of these producers, roughly 6 in 10, list their primary occupation as something other than farming. They are teachers, mechanics, and off-farm professionals who manage these fields after their daily shifts are complete. In many cases, the family pays for the farm rather than the farm paying the family. The old agricultural tour stopped next at a commercial dairy where the narrator reported a herd of 1,200 dairy goats producing more than 6 pounds of milk per head each day. It was a production claim that sounded secure, backed by a specialized infrastructure of milking parlors and bulk cooling tanks. Nationally, Wisconsin leads the inventory of milk goats, with California ranking second, but Texas operations have carved out niche markets using these same collection and processing networks. For any dairy, viability depends on a highly coordinated logistics chain: daily collection, rapid cooling, specialized pasteurization, and reliable distribution. If any single link in that chain breaks, the local market dissolves, regardless of herd genetics or animal output. No official agency publishes a current, verified head count for Texas milk goats, making the exact scale of today's herds difficult to track. But when a single downstream processor in the region closed, the collection truck simply stopped driving the route. The setback was not a simple price collapse, but the sudden disappearance of the physical pathway to market. A Panhandle quail hatchery on the tour reported that Japanese quail eggs incubate in 17 days. The narrator then stated that China produces 184 billion quail eggs annually, representing 37% of the global output. If you divide that stated figure by its 37% share and then divide the resulting world total by the global population, the arithmetic produces a specific outcome. It implies that every person on Earth has more than 60 quail eggs available to them each year. A decimal error had been copied from source to source, escaping notice until constant repetition made the figure appear official. It was a confident number spoken over calm footage, accepted because it was recorded and then left completely unchecked. That repeated error connects back to the wider question of our land statistics. Once a statistic is written down on a ledger, it is often treated as permanent, even when the ground beneath it has already changed. The old agricultural tour entered the East Texas pine country, where the ledger recorded approximately 12 million acres of timberland. In these damp forests, a single stand of loblolly pine commonly requires 25 to 30 years to reach maturity. This represents a slow biological rotation that lasts longer than most 30-year home mortgages. The economic weight of this long waiting period can drive a family to sell the land itself, even when the timber crop has not failed. When measuring these massive systems, the Texas Forest Service and the Federal Forest Inventory and Analysis Program do not always agree on the basic math. One published estimate recorded 63.2 million acres of total forest land across the state, while an alternate inventory reported 59 million acres. This discrepancy of more than 4 million acres is treated strictly as an inventory methodology revision rather than an actual physical loss of forest, leaving the uncertainty of the count to stand plainly on the page. Kansas leads the nation in sorghum production, with Texas ranking second. Inside the Texas borders, the crop serves as an environmental comparison rather than a uniform statewide measure. In Nueces County, growers hold the largest grain sorghum base acreage in the country at roughly 135,000 acres, where dryland fields average 60 bushels per acre. Across the state, in Deaf Smith County, yields run above 90 bushels per acre. This 30-bushel yield gap is explained entirely by water access, where Deaf Smith County operations apply irrigation to bypass the limits of natural rainfall. This administrative base acreage remains distinct from the actual planted acres, standing as a quiet record of historical decisions rather than active cultivation. On these western plains, the crop behaves less like a standard commodity and more like an environmental warning system. The sorghum acreage acts as a drought gauge, wearing the clothes of a market story, where the physical absence of a crop reveals the limits of the water ledger long before the pricing boards register a change. The old agricultural tour ended at its final stop, documenting a Texas cattle and calf count of 12,543,300 head. This historical figure remains the archival baseline. Today, the national cattle inventory has declined to 88 million head, which represents a drop of 6%. Yet, even as total herd numbers shrink, cattle and calf sales have risen by approximately 16%. This divergence occurs because inventory and sales measure entirely different phases of the cattle cycle. To understand the future capacity of the herd, one must look at the heifer. A heifer is not a sentimental symbol, but a strict biological investment, a young female animal that must be withheld from the market to breed future generations. Rebuilding a depleted herd requires ranchers to hold these heifers back, even when the immediate holding costs of feed, land, and capital are exceptionally high. This choice creates a sharp economic inversion, where the short-term arithmetic of cash flow penalizes the correct long-term decision to rebuild the herd. The land keeps its own ledger. If you want to see how these shifting environmental and economic figures continue to transform the American countryside, subscribe to support our independent research. Unchecked numbers cannot hold back the shifting soil. As we repeat the old counts, suburban concrete and quiet pine trees claim the plains. We are left with a ledger of our own neglect. The land keeps its own ledger.